You've mentioned a lot of things regarding communication, and you just outlined that as one of the top priorities should you end up winning this seat. On top of that, what are some of your other priorities during this campaign?
Yeah, great question. So, what I would say, I'd preface this with saying is, these are not necessarily my priorities that are coming exactly from me. I've really tried to seek out and engage the constituency to identify what it is that they believe are the key priorities that are going to move our district forward. So I see myself as a steward and executor, representative of these key priorities. And those priorities, look, it starts, who hasn't talked about it? It's reliable transportation, it's the buses running on time. Obviously, we've made great steps. I'm really grateful and appreciative to everybody who's worked hard to get us to where we are right now. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step in the right direction. Bringing it in-house is giving us the opportunity to really get our destiny under our control in that regard, but it is going to take a little bit of time to smooth that out. It's the beginning, it's a transition, there's going to be some lumps, but my commitment, my determination is to get on the school committee and help smooth that out sooner rather than later, have a shorter cycle time, because it's impacting academic performance. Kids shouldn't have to be held back in terms of their academic performance because they're not getting to school at all or getting to school late. Also, the economic and the family disruption part, parents shouldn't have to make a decision whether they're going to go into work or go into work late. So the faster we get that to be a standardized process, not just in District 6, but across all the districts across the entire city, we are going to be much better positioned to get a better school experience, better performance, and we can long-term plan. Because if we're in this day by day just trying to make the buses work, it's very low. I really see it as like a foundational base in this pyramid of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We got to get beyond that. So that's number one. Number two, it's safety defined by zero, little violence in our schools, our hallways, our buses, our bus stops, anywhere between kids. That's important. The third, really important, I really am an advocate for, and I really want to come onto the school committee and encourage us to strive for an academic excellence that's beyond where we've been in Framingham. When it comes to that specifically, what does academic excellence mean? Well, look, first step is we got to recover past our pre-pandemic levels of performance, proficiency, and student achievement. I can understand and appreciate the sentiment that, Framingham, it's not appropriate to compare ourselves to some of the surrounding communities, but by the way, all the surrounding communities have recovered past those pre-pandemic levels. We still have not, but it's not appropriate to compare ourselves to an Ashland or a Natick or a Sudbury or what have you. And I can totally understand that. We've got a diverse community. We've got a big community, we've got 72,000 people. But that being said, once we get beyond that, and I really do believe this is a breakthrough year, that we will make those massive strides. We've got Ann Lutz coming back in as assistant superintendent. She's going to be a massive player in this. But once we get beyond that, we have to chart a new course. We have to have a collective vision. It's one of the reasons we talked a little bit offline about the YouTube videos. I made a YouTube video about, what the school committee is and why it's important to the public. And we have to have a collective vision of where we want to go, and we have to make it measurable, because we're a city now, and maybe it's as simple as saying there's 50 cities in the state of Massachusetts, and let's shoot to be in the top 10 of cities in terms of academic performance within 5 to 10 years. Or maybe it's cities above the population level of 50,000. Let's aim to be in the top 5 or the top 10 over the next 5 to 10 years, because there's a galvanizing energy, there's an energization that happens when we have a target that we can move towards, and you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. You have a tough time making an accurate shot if you don't know where the bullseye is. And I know that the superintendent and the administration, by speaking to them, they're working on figuring out what's the appropriate rubric that they measure this by. They have the DESE standards, which are important. But I'd really love for us to have some sort of target that we can all get a cohesion around and we can get behind. And, I got to say this. Roger Bannister, he broke the 4-minute mile May 6, 1954, okay? And there's the Bannister effect. And when he did do that, as the story goes, 2,000 years had gone by, nobody broke the 4-minute mile. Nobody got it sub 4 minutes. It was like 4:01, whatever it was. And when he broke the 4-minute mile, they asked him, what did you do? The first step, he said, was, I committed myself that I would do it. I didn't know how, but I would commit myself that I would do it, and I believed I could do it. Then he said, I started visualizing. I started visualizing myself crossing the finish line. I start with sub 4 minutes. Then I started visualizing every detail of the race. And in those consistent repetitions of visualization, what came to him, an insight was, in his visualizations, he was striking the ground much more often than his usual gait. And it occurred to him, maybe I have to start shifting the way that I train. I have to start shifting the way that I run so that I have a different gait. Everybody said, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. Well, he did. He started training a different way. Lo and behold, May 6, 1954, he breaks the 4-minute mile. Nobody had done it for 2 years. Well, you know what? The following year, 26 people broke the 4-minute mile. And now, as we're speaking right now, there's a 12-year-old girl somewhere running a sub 4-minute mile in track practice. So what does that mean, the Bannister effect? I had heard, and it's not to put down anything, but I had heard a few school committee meetings ago, I heard, well, you know, Framingham Public Schools are never going to be one of the best school districts in Massachusetts, but you know what, I think that's a limiting belief, and I think we can at least commit to a higher level of excellence that's measurable and start moving towards that sustainably over time, whether it's 5, 10, 15 years. So that's important. And I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up. But the next priority that I'm hearing from people is expanded pre-K offerings, and especially from young parents. So the studies and the case studies, the research continually shows that 4-year-olds who have a pre-K experience are obviously much more prepared, have a propensity to have higher academic scores, student performance, but also the psychosocial, the emotional effects, and able to be more adaptable, be able to engage in the classroom, engage with their peers, engage with the community at a higher level. And that is something that we've already taken great strides. The private-public partnership that they went ahead and rolled out in 2021 to get the YMCA and bring in the Framingham State and bring in Loving Nest. That was a great idea. We tapped some of the resources that were already in our community. We got creative, and doing more of that, we just got a grant, $750,000 back in June 30th from the state of Massachusetts to continue that. So that's something that we have to methodically work towards expanding that so we can get more 4-year-olds in our pre-K program for a higher level of preparedness, a higher level of literacy before getting to kindergarten. It's going to be a huge return on investment for our schools and for our community. You know, you talk about the 80-20 principle, Pareto principle. If there was 20% of our inputs will typically create 80% of the outputs that we desire. So if you talk about one big lever that long-term creates 80% of the benefits, the results that we want in terms of lowering the chronic absenteeism that Dr. Tremblay said it was going to be a huge priority for him fixing this year. Lowering, and the schools running on time is going to help that a lot. You know, fixing lowering the dropout rate, and also it helps teachers get through their curriculums. It helps us with this turnover that we've had at teachers and at principals. So it is something that is super important. It's super important for me as well. And then the last thing here is this expanded communication and transparency. You hear it all the time. We want more transparency. And I think we need to go out to the public. Parents are busy, families are busy. It's hard for them to be plugged into what's going on, but we kind of have to nudge them a little bit. And it's not just about hearing what you don't want or what you don't like. We have to really be deliberate and ask, what would you like to see realized in the school district? As we have a collective vision and we can translate that over to the school committee can translate that over, and it can be codified into objectives for the superintendent, we are going to get better results. You know, 3,000 years ago in the book of Proverbs, it was written, where there is no vision, the people perish. So we have to have that collective vision. So that's it.